We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
You know, I wish we could find some way to hold people accountable. Free speech is a great idea, but we're in a war.
To make sure the economy doesn't collapse, I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
You're listening to Common Sense Radio with A.J. Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network.
My purpose was to be thankful to be alive. I was even more thankful for the blessings that came with this life, specifically Virdis, my wife. But that came to an end when Akhlavain and her minions violently took her away from me. So my new purpose in this life is to gather all the pieces of the Stone's Heart so I can defeat Akhlavain and get back my bride. Join me as I travel to new worlds, making new friends and avoiding old enemies. Read more about my story in the first 2 books of the Stone's Heart series, which are now available on Amazon.com in Kindle format. The first book is The Quest for Savitvarda, and that is followed by The Heart of Pagaila. Stone's Heart is more than a fantasy and a sci-fi quest. It's me fighting to get back my precious wife, despite the overwhelming odds against me. Stone's Heart. Join, explore, and believe.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.
Welcome back to the program, folks. You're listening to Common Sense Radio and the Lanterns Radio Network. AJ Davis here from the Progressive Utopia of Oregon. Glad to be here. Do me a favor. Check out lanterns.buzz, which is our website where we share articles from great contributors from on our team. Also, lots of great fellow podcasters, radio show hosts. We got Defenders of American Exceptionalism with Dylan and Stephen. We got Battle for Freedom with Watson Prunier. You got the Bells of Liberty. There's 3 of them. You've got Ian and Ballinger with the Freesitter. Matt Holloway with the HoloNet. Michael Murphy. I mean, there's tons of them. I know I probably missed 1 or 2. We have the new racing episodes. Just great content. Please like and share all their Facebook pages, their Twitter pages, and check it out on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio. Just listen, and share, because we're all doing this to help spread the message of a pro-American and freedom-loving individuals. So glad that I'm at my own house now. I can tell you what, vacation, you save up for it, you plan it. Okay, let me take that back. My wife and her sister did all that. She was fantastic. Both of them were at planning this vacation. They planned for every single little detail and had everything just perfected before we even landed. They had filled my brother-in-law and I in on everything. It was absolutely perfect. One of the things that I didn't expect to encountered so much, but I did, was children melting down. And I think I know why. I really think I know why, because on the 3rd day, the kids were just exhausted. They wanted to sleep in every day, and we maximized our tickets, our experience down there. We were down there for 5 solid days, and we'd get up at 6:30, 6:45 every morning, except for one Thursday. We did not get up. We slept in a little bit, which turned out to be a good thing. And we'd go to the park till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, go to bed at 10, and get up. It was amazing to see when my kids melted down. Like many kids, they all melt down. One particular one really, really stuck with me was when my son was he just wanted to, I could tell he was tired, he was exhausted. It was right out in front of the Pinocchio ride, which is in what they call the old Disney, or vintage Disney, where all the, Peter Pan, the Toad Ride, Dumbo, the original Disney rides. Storybook ride, the storybook, through the river. Anyways, it's right in front. It was right across from the carousel that goes around and around. And I just sit down waiting with my 3-year-old for everybody to come out of that ride because he was done. My oldest had melted down moments before, and he finally went in with Mom. And I'm sitting literally 10 to 15 feet away from the exit. And granted, when you go to Disneyland, you're waiting in line. You know that. Waiting in line to get in. Depending on the ride, you could be waiting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or in some cases, 95 minutes. Cool thing about capitalism nowadays, with your smartphone, you can check the Disney line rides on the app. I mean, how can you not love that? It wasn't always correct, but it was close, and we would search it all the time. And the carousel, if you just looked at it, you could get on that ride fairly easy. I mean, it was not like Radiator Springs in California Adventure or Star Tours or any of the big main attractions, Splash Mountain, Pirates of the Caribbean. Like I said, it was not one of the big main attractions, so you could get on it fairly easy. And I'm sitting there, and it's dark at night. It's 8:30, 8:45 at night. And I just look over. Everybody had cleared off the carousel. And this lady pulls open the exit door and pushes her 3 kids to get on the carousel. And at that moment, everybody was flooding in to fill it up. And I'm going, in my mind, are you kidding me? You think you are more important than everybody else that waited in line to get just to get on a carousel? It was absolutely something that just infuriated me. It drove me bananas because the very next day we're leaving California Adventure to come into the park, and the line was, average to get in, 5 minutes. It moves pretty quick, just depending on strollers and just first time people asking 1,000 questions. No big deal. Did the same thing. So we're just moving up. There's 10 of us. 10 of us. 6 kids just running around like a bunch of wild monkeys. That's what they are. They're wild kids. My 3 kids and their 3 cousins together are wild animals. I am not exaggerating at all. So we're moving in. We're getting pretty close. And then a group of people just walk up and just get in front of me. And I'm just going like, I just like stopped in shock, and my wife cried saying, "Don't you say a word." And I couldn't hold back because I don't hold back. I said, "Oh, that's how we should do it next time, guys. We should just get in front of people, just like these people did." And not a single one of them could turn around and have the audacity, even the courage to do that. And I said, "Oh, it's common sense from us. We should just do this next time. Just walk right up in front of people." So we're walking through, and we get in. We get up almost to the front, and this other lady tries to cut in front of people, like kind of just sneak her way in, because you have 2 lines going in on the sides, and then you have a big gate in the middle for strollers and wheelchairs. And this lady tries to sneak into at the park and trying to push up with her ticket. And then my wife and sister-in-law were watching that, and they just were laughing because the people at the gate kept catching her doing that. And finally, they took her ticket and made her go to the end of the line, which got longer. If she just would have done that in the first place, she would have been fine. And just laughed because she thought she was pulling a fast one on people. And those 2 incidents really just rubbed me wrong with humanity, because how many more other people are trying to do the same thing in the park. I know it's happening. I know people are going up and doing mischievous things. There's rotten apples in every bunch. But just to cut in front of people to get in line, that's part of, like I've said in the past, it's the participation trophy generation that we have risen. They think they are entitled to things. Also with the culture of instant satisfaction. Instant. I was talking with my brother-in-law while we're waiting in line and walking around Disney on multiple occasions. We all had this conversation. Is our kids could not, well, maybe not could not, just was not a fan of waiting in line. And no one is, but to an extent where they're like, can't we just get on now? Can't we just get on now? That's the generation we're raising. That's the generation now. That is the generation that's coming up that expects to instant. You push a button. I would have loved to take them over to the Radiator Springs ride in California Adventure, which is the new hot ride, and I will say it's a very good ride. I liked it. And let them wait in line, because that was one of the rides that was the longest to get on that I saw. I mean, there was one point where I saw it was a 120-minute wait time. That's 2 hours to get on one ride, and people were doing it. People were doing it all over these long rides. It's just something that makes you think. It really was. But on a good side, the thing that really made me smile were the Disney parades. My goodness, the Disney parades were amazing. 3:30 every day, 3:45, whatever time they do it. The people that worked for Disney that we talked to said it rotated weekly. They are called the sound, at least the two we saw were the Soundsational parades. And they start right up by the front entrance. There's a little entryway for staff and characters and different stuff like that. And they go around the cul-de-sac in the front and head up Main Street all the way up through the Megahorn, I think that's the name of the ride, up to where It's a Small World, which is in Fantasyland, which is kind of northeast, I would say, of the park. If you're standing at Main Street, yeah, it'd be about northeast. It was just something that was absolutely fantastic. You just sat back. They had music playing. They had speakers throughout the park, up on light poles. They had it up on in the buildings. I mean, the attention to detail was incredible. And it just made you sit back and just take you out of reality. You could have been having a bad day, or you could have went and spent $30 on frozen lemonades like my wife had sent me off to do. Oh, that's the bad part about capitalism, was the price gouging. But supply and demand. I paid for it. Whether I wanted to or not. $5 for a churro. Let me correct myself. $4.75. Get yourself a frozen lemonade, a churro, sit on the curb, sit on the bench, and you just let the Disney parade take hold, and it was just absolutely amazing. And an incredible experience. If you get a chance, I think I've seen some of them on YouTube. They're just very well put together, and I asked one of the workers, so what was the idea about? Why did Walt want to have these parades daily? Because they have parades daily there, sometimes twice a day, from what I gather. And the worker told me, he says, Walt really wanted to, from what I've come to understand, is take people out of the real world and just put a smile on their face. Take them out of the real world, out of reality, and put a smile on their face and let them have no worries. was so refreshing to be on vacation, disconnected from reality. Ugh. My battery it's been recharged. I'm ready to go. I have some big plans for this podcast in the future. Um, oh gosh, it just is something I need. I hadn't had a day off 3 to 4 months. I took a vacation day 4 months ago. Prior to that, like I said, I have my normal Monday through Friday job. I have my yard business, and I do the podcasting as well. So I've been a pretty intense schedule on a normal basis. So it was nice to have no schedule, not to have to get up and make lunches for my wife, for the kids, not run kids to sports, do her thing, me do my thing. It was just absolutely wonderful for all of us to be together as a family and create memories that are going to last a lifetime. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a break right here. Like I said earlier in the beginning of this segment, please check out all the Lanterneers over at lanterns.buzz. Check out the writers, the podcasters, the radio people on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. I mean, you can find us everywhere. So you're listening to Common Sense Radio on the Lanterns Radio Network. Check out Lumberlax. This is a company started by an 11-year-old Kai Talley. He plays lacrosse, and the money that they profit off of the business, they use to help less fortunate kids that cannot play lacrosse. He partners with nonprofits to give money to kids that physically cannot play the game due to special needs or illness. This is an amazing thing that he is doing, and he is extremely involved in his community. Take a look at the website, lumberlax.com, or email them directly at lumberlax@comcast.net and order a custom shaft for yourself or someone else. They also do coaches gifts, team sticks. They work with people to do fundraisers and so much more. Please check out lumberlax.com, official sponsor of Common Sense Radio with AJ Davis on the Lanterns Radio Network. Welcome back to the program, folks. Well, while we were traveling, when we headed to the airport, we didn't have any problems with TSA. But inevitably, when we entered LAX Saturday at 9 a.m. No, we were a little before 9 a.m. We were there about 8:30. I apologize. I want to make sure I'm factual in everything I do. I strive for perfection when it comes to facts. Most of the time, it's my perspective that I'm delivering with you. We got to LAX, and we got there early, and we couldn't check in, throw our luggage up there until 4 hours prior. And we wanted to beat the LA traffic and make sure we got there on time, which we did. Thank you. We got up a little earlier than we wanted to, but we beat the traffic with no delays. Our plan was to get there, eat breakfast. That didn't work out too well. Like I said, we couldn't check in. Our flight was 12:50, so we could not check in until 8:50 at the earliest. Sitting in the front lobby with 6 kids, 4 adults, you can imagine the fun and the looks we got. And oh boy, did we get the looks. But I'm used to it. Whatever. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. So we check in, we ride the elevator or escalator up to go to security. Everybody's favorite. No sarcasm there at all. None whatsoever. So we get up there. Oh, it looks like a short line. And if any of you have been to LAX, their airport, how should I put this? Sucks. Yes, it sucks. I hate it. It's one of the busiest airports in the U.S. I flew in there a couple times before. Get up to security, and I kid you not, we're in line 35 minutes. Easy. Just standing there, barely moving. And we got sent to the line where the brand new TSA scanner agent was working. Everybody clap for me. Yay! How lucky of us. How lucky of us. Yep, it was very interesting. It was actually gut-wrenching. Gut-wrenching. I mean, we're already a circus, the 5 of us going everywhere, because my 3-year-old is a wild one. And my daughter encourages it. She really does encourage it with him. My oldest, he's pretty mellow, but when they're all 3 together, they are wild. Kid you not. Wouldn't trade them, wouldn't change anything. And we get all of our stuff there. I mean, luckily we didn't have to go through the body scanners. And gosh, I mean, absolutely insane, the body scanners. The metal detectors don't do enough. I mean, what do you need the body scanners for? I still don't understand that. I'm sure, though, some government bureaucrat would love to tell us all about it. And I'm sure you've have your own formulated opinion on it, and I'm glad you do, but I think it sucks. Anyways, we're going through, we're waiting for all the rest of our stuff, and we actually had to put our stroller, I had to fold it up and fit it through so they could check every square inch of it. Because we want to make sure there's no explosives, no hand sanitizer. I mean, no liquid above 3.4. I asked the agent. I said, hey, my baby powder is 4 ounces, but we've used almost all of it. Like I told you earlier in the first segment, my son had a bad rash. Diaper cream. Well, you should be fine if they say anything. At least he was cool about it. But the guy that was scanning, I swear to you, had to look at things 7 and 8 times. And the gentleman behind us who was waiting for his laptop says, this is excruciatingly slow. Never is it like this. So I go, oh, great, because I don't fly much. No. I don't go on many trips. I like to be in the comfort of my home, in my studio, or out on my couch, chilling. So that was the fun part. That was, as you can tell how boring I sound, it was absolutely horrible. So we get to the other side of terminal, which terminal were we at? We flew out of gate 69A or B, so we were pretty far down there at the terminal. We had to walk all the way to the far end of the terminal, go up a set of stairs and with an escalator, get set up where people are just coming in and out, flying in and out all the time. And I have children that were starving. So I go get them some snacks. $30 later. Goodness, just unbelievable the cost of things at not only Disneyland but at the airport. At the airport, I think it's more the taxes, the sales tax, because we don't have a sales tax in Oregon. Yet the legislature would love to impose a backdoor one if they could, and I know they've been working on it. But there in California, I mean, my goodness, you're getting raped over the back by sales tax, by property tax, you name it. And the price of everything is just unbelievable. I went up and bought a copy of the New York Times, and it almost was $3. Who buys? Well, I'm the fool that bought the New York Times. And then I was able to find, what's funny is a copy of the LA Times, and I'm just looking through it, trying to read. I'm reading about how, you won't believe it, I know. It's hard to believe. Take a deep breath. I want you to listen. a police officer that got caught of doing wrong and was getting prosecuted. You don't see that all over the news, but I saw that in LA Times. Why aren't those Black Lives Matter people celebrating that a criminal, doesn't matter if it's a police officer, a firefighter, or a member of our military, if you commit a crime, you should be prosecuted. This guy was caught and he was prosecuted. Crickets. I don't hear anybody talking about how well the justice system worked at that point, because like we've talked about in the past, it is about an agenda. So here's another agenda item, and I pulled up the article not only online because once I saw the back of F10 of the LA Times, I took a picture of it and sent it over to Dylan and Watson, because the title of it, Getting Past, quote, I have herpes. I know, stop you in your tracks. That's what the money we are spending on newspapers and these failed media companies are producing. That's what people need to know about. It's in the LA affairs, the dating scene, California life and style section of the newspaper. That's why, time out real quick, that's why I joined Lanterns. We are pro-American, and we're here to spread the light. The truth is what matters. Facts, with our perspective on the end, is what you're getting out of Lanterneers, both the writers and the podcasters. So on the website for the Los Angeles Times, it says, it took a different approach. It took all of my courage to say, I have herpes. And let me just read you a little bit of it, because it just capped off a wonderful trip where I'm just reading through the newspaper, just trying to, stay off electronics and just see what was going on. And sure enough, the first thing I see was the agenda push by M. Cruz of the LA Times. I was recently divorced, pushing 50, and ready to get out there again. Except this time around, I had herpes. And it just goes on about, I believe it was a lady. Oh, M. Cruz. Okay. See, I got this wrong. M. Cruz is not a writer over at the LA Times. This is an experience of somebody that wrote in their dating experience to the LA Times, and it took up the whole back page of F10. It's October 21st, 2017 at 6:30 a.m. But a little bit down, I wasn't going to let the fact that I had 2 kids and was in the size 14 clothing range deter me. My game plan was to get myself out there and meet whoever I could meet and see if there was potential. Match.com is like the proverbial box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. There are a lot of frogs and no guarantees of meeting any princes. I ended up meeting a guy I really liked, and he liked me too. But where did that go? Because they had a few dates, and after date 4 or 5, it was obvious we were going to end up in the bedroom. I decided it was time for the talk. It took me all the courage I had in me to tell him I had herpes. He was appropriately thankful for my honesty, then he ghosted me. Being the impatient and highly sensitive person that I am, I sent him a message that basically said, it's okay if you don't want anything to do with me, but had the nerve to come out and say so. Even though I knew it was fruitless, I still went on to say I thought we had a lot of chemistry and it would be a shame to throw it all away. I did manage to get a response out of him, which was that after being married for 20 years, this time he was going to do it right. I guess that also meant not with a side of herpes. Who would have thought? You're absolutely right. So this person goes on to say, I swore to myself I would never ever put myself through that again. So she Googled, I believe it, I don't want to jump to conclusion, but I Googled, because we don't use pronouns in this article, I Googled until I found a website called Positive Singles, a dating site for people with herpes or other STDs. I never would have guessed that would have ever existed. Never had the issue. Never had the problem. Feeling wounded and gun-shy, I created an empty profile and just poked around on the site. I read some of the forums. I eyed a few profiles. Liked before. I checked out the competition again with the hikes and the yoga. I found out that a dating website is a dating website. More frogs, the married guys just looking for sex. No profile. Give me your cell phone number. No, thank you. And they go on to say, then I met F. He was a SoCal native like me. He had been married almost 20 years like me. He didn't do yoga, but he did like to hike. I like him enough that I figured I could look past that. Best of all, I would never have to have the talk with him. Turns out, even though he has herpes, he's completely happy and a lucky duck. We spoke many times on the phone before meeting in person. After a few months of dating, we moved in together. We've been together now for almost 2 years. He's kind. He's intelligent. I love how his sense of humor complements mine. And how they share the same ointment. So that's what I woke up to Saturday morning, because once I saw that, I mean, I couldn't not read the article, and I showed it to the party that I was traveling with, and they just jumped back in their seats and just said, wow. And when I sent it to Dylan and Watson, the same response came back from those guys. I mean, this is what the LA Times is printing. I mean, this garbage. It's absolute garbage. I don't want my kids hearing that kind of stuff. It made my eyes are hurting right now just talking about that stuff. I mean, you can't even. I honestly could not tell you if this was a guy or a girl, because then I met quote F, cisgender. I mean, is this? In the beginning of it, I mean, it says, I performed a search as a male looking for a female to see the kind of competition. I mean, is this a woman that loves a woman, or I met... I mean, there's no clear pronoun used in this conversation, where it seemed all girls my age looked bikini ready, and all boys are ready to hit the surf at any moment. That's what it's talking about. I mean, there was no clear description, and this agenda that is being pushed by all the news agency. It's not just LA Times. Like I said, I bought a copy of the New York Times to read, and that same garbage is being pushed in that newspaper. When are these people going to get enough gumption to stand up and tell these media agencies enough is enough? Well, that's why myself, people like Watson, Dylan, Matt Holloway, Blake Johnson, Ian Ballinger, Michael Murphy, and the Bells, we're here and we are taking it to the news media. We are the new age media, lanterns.buzz, where we are seeking the truth and nothing but the truth. We're a group of lanterneers that are shining over the darkness in the world and try and promote freedom, liberty, and justice for all. I appreciate you tuning in tonight, and I hope you listen in next week, same time, same mic, and I'll be broadcasting from the progressive utopia of deep in the wine country of Oregon, where our roads are horrible, but they're going to put up some more public bonds. Anyways, before I keep going, good night, God bless you, and have a great week.
You're listening to the Lanterns Radio Network. We are the network dedicated to empowering the individual, illuminating the truth, defending American exceptionalism, and inspiring future generations. Stay connected and get involved at lanterns.buzz. For great radio, get commentary and news of the day. Lanterns.buzz.